Yo, what's up YouTube? Welcome back. New episode. We are just in the start of 1991, our second year. We are going to start with the end of year awards, which went in favour of Edalberto, who of course beat George Laurent to win the first light heavyweight title. We of course won Company of the Year, which is no surprise because Sigma only just started the very first show in December. Rookie of the Year was actually Matthew Dean. He had 4 fights last year. Makes sense, I guess. He's also booked already in to fight Rob Baines for the lightweight belt, which was pretty, I don't know, like the likes of Matthew Dean, Fezzik, and Yamada across their weight classes. I was trying to hold them off as long as I could, because they'll probably put the divisions on hold. Not that there's necessarily anything wrong with that, but I probably should have gave Matthew Dean a title shot first against Rob Baines, to be honest. It would have been a pretty cool moment if you went like 10 years into the promotion and he was the only ever middleweight champ. You know, it would be quite nice history, like nice storyline. But it's not to be. He'll probably beat Rob Baines when the time comes though. Yamamoto and Gorshin actually win Show of the Year, and that also wins main event. It was a great rated. We of course went through it. We went through the whole fight. It was a pretty decent fight. I think it was a 5th round finish by TKO for Gorshin. Muruseva won his debut against Ernie Burns, won Submission of the Year. I'm sure it was a neck crank he won by. Knockout of the Year is the fantastic fight where Valence won. Popik on his debut, I'm sure it was, got worst fight of the year. That was a poor rated. Nigel Malley, of course, the excellent rated fight we went over. What a battle against Mario. The only excellent fight we ever had, so it makes sense. It wins Fight of the Year. Team of the Year is Mantis, which also makes sense. It's pretty much the only team in the game. Although, having said that, I did base it out of the British Isles so that my guys could join, as you can see. But I started to then realise that I have a roster of over 200 fighters, but there's only like 2 teams in the UK. So I went through the hassle of debuting 10 teams this month, or next month, sorry, I believe, or is it this month? I think it was the start of this month. 10 random teams all across the British Isles for my fighters to join so they can improve. A little bit unrealistic, I guess you could say, like quote unquote cheating, but we're not really playing for the realism in some aspects, and it means that my fighters can all improve. The teams range from like being very, very good to very, very bad. Some of them, the fighters are more likely to form bonds together. Some of them, they're more likely to fall out. It's literally, I didn't make them all amazing. I tried to make it a bit realistic, and it's a bit all over the place. Some are world class, some are average, some are very, very small, but very good. Like they only host maybe a few people, and some host like 25, but it sucks. Upset of the year was, of course, Chapin. I remember the last show of the year against Adelman, he won. So it went pretty much according to plan. As soon as George Laurent lost to Edalberto, I kind of had a feeling he would win Fight of the Year. He did have a good year though. Look at this. I think he's the only guy who fought 5 times. Keeping in mind 4 of his wins were decisions, but he beat like Leon Banks, who's got quite a few wins. He beat Fujishima, who also, I believe Fujishima was unbeaten when Edalberto beat him. He's beaten Jose Sevak too. Most of these guys he's beat are actually still here too. So it's not like he's been handed the easiest of easy fights, and then of course he beat George Laurent. So I would say it's justified, his win. Matthew Dean, of course, he fought 4 times, 4 wins this year, but we have a bit of an issue because I booked so strong in December. I didn't book any fights in January. As you can see, we're in week 3 of February, about to go into our first show of the year. We're very close to high level regional. I'll just show you guys real quick. We're very close to high level regional. Probably about 3 shows. We're about 3 shows away, maybe 4. So from high level regional to low level national, I'm going to but I'm not really going to fully run over some of the cards unless it's like a title fight or huge guys, so we can move it along just a little bit quicker here and there. It won't happen a lot, just so we can advance our guys a bit more, get the records up, get the name values up. But this year, once we hit high level regional, we're probably going to focus a little bit more on making money rather than pop. Because when we hit high level regional, I'll be able to sign guys on exclusives, which means Sigma can't use them. But Sigma, I actually was going to book Tory McCall to fight Phil Vedegree for the heavyweight title. But Sigma decided it was a good idea to do it themselves right here. Every single one of these fighters, apart from the guy in the main event with no name, is in my roster. Mark Cohen was going to fight for a number one contention spot. Yamada was probably one fight away. He would have got booked. All these guys would have got booked. But luckily, because I'm so close to high level regional, this should be the only time this should happen. Because by the time this show goes on, we have like 3 or 4 shows booked in February alone. Like, look at that. All in week 4. We should hit high level regional and snap up a bunch of guys on exclusives and make the pay a bit more realistic, give them a base pay boost, so when they win, their pay goes up a little bit, something I never really use, but we probably will start. But we took a break in January so that my whole roster could recuperate, and then I had the choice to choose from every fighter in the whole roster, a roster of over 200. But I think apart from that, there's not too much more to run over. The world rankings is pretty much dominated at the start of year 2 by me. The first 19 spots is all my guys, my champions, my unbeaten fighters. 1 or 2 guys that's in there like Nigel Malley and Sapatov, just mainly because there's kind of, it's still few and far between fighters that have actually had 5 fights. But yeah, it's kind of funny that George Laurent's still ahead of Edilberto, which realistically could make George Laurent not get a rematch right now, but he's probably just 1 or 2 fights away from jumping back into the contention spot. But let's actually I'll give you guys a quick rundown, because this episode will get through quite a lot of shows, to be honest, even though I'm blabbing on right now, just because we want to try and get to high level regional this episode. In fact, no, we will. But if we go to rankings, I'll give you a quick overview of the short-term future of my plans for fighters. So heavyweight, of course, it was supposed to be Tony McCall and Phil Vedegree, but because they're both unbeaten and have good momentum, one of them's obviously going to lose at Sigma, so we're going to have Fezzik, who's booked into fight right now, against Gunnar Nelson to main event, but he's probably going to beat Gunnar Nelson, let's be honest, and if he does, Fezzik will just fight Tony McCall, regardless of even if Phil Vedegree beats him in Sigma's kind of blowing his chances for him to get a title fight right now with us, which is a shame because for the memes and stuff I wanted to give it to him, but I don't think I will now. It depends. If Phil Vedegree wins, I'll look and see what the name value of the fight is going to look like, but it'll feel a bit weird booking it back to back, even though it wasn't in our promotion. But we'll see. But it's most likely going to be the winner of Fezzik and Nelson that'll fight McCall, even if McCall loses, because we can't just strip him of the belt, obviously. But like I said, that one Sigma show should be the only show, or the only time that ever happens to us, so I can't really be too annoyed. But as for that, who else? We've got Foster, who's still going on Olympic duty. We've got Ari, who's slowly creeping up, same with KKK, Tim Boyer as well. All those guys still unbeaten, that I'm sure will try and push right into the top 5. But as for that, that's pretty much where we're at with heavyweight. Light heavyweight, George Laurent, of course, still sitting second. Elgar, he's got a pretty fairly easy opponent to boost him up and try and help the challenge between him and Edilberto, which is still mild, and it won't really advance much by the time we put them up against each other. If Elgar wins, it was supposed to be Elgar to fight, and then it'd probably be Mark Cohen next if he won, but he's fighting now at Sigma, so Yamada will probably skip him in the number 1 contention spot. And the only other guy I would say that looks quite exciting in terms of putting on name value and their record is probably Roberto, who's still unbeaten, but he's up against Lacazette next, who is one of the higher paid guys 2-0. So whoever wins that fight will really push up into the top 10. But yeah, Mark Cohen, of course, he lost on his debut, I believe, to George Laurent, right? Or not, it was Mantis. And then he's on a 5-win streak. I might actually make him fight Mantis again before Mantis retires, just to see if he can validate that loss. It would be quite nice. Even though Mantis is nowhere near him, it wouldn't be that bad of an idea, honestly. But we also got guys like Kenji Toma, Muruseva, who are both very good. Desi, Escovedo, Popic, but they're just a bit unpredictable on who they beat, who they don't. Okay, middleweight. Matthew Dean's already booked in to fight Rob Baines. And then it's probably going to be between Martin and Malfi Robbie, who are also both booked in. Martin, after he wins, will probably skip Bingwen in the ratings, but Bingwen's up against Yamashita, who I believe is unbeaten, 3-0. So if he wins that and then probably wins against someone who's close to the number one contender, he could get a rematch. Fernando Amaro, he's still got 7 months left of his suspension, but by the time he's back, he'll probably still be in the top 10. Mac Fuller's 5-0, but he's just inside the top 10 in the world. The top 10 in their division. I don't know why. It's probably because he's not finishing his fights, and he's not really fighting that good guys. So he's booked in next to fight Bushman, who of course one of the highest name valued guys in America, boxer against boxer. So that'll be interesting to see. Nigel Malley sitting up in 7th as well. He's actually booked in for a rematch against Mario, the only ever excellent fight we had. So I thought, why not make them go at it again almost 2 years later? See how that goes. But yeah, it'll probably be Martin up next. Maybe Malfi Robbie, if he can push up further. But they might have to also go through Bingwen Park, I'm not sure. But it won't really matter, because by then Matthew Dean will probably have the title. Okay, welterweight's one of the... As you can see, there's a lot of unbeaten guys here. But when you look at all the records, there's very few people that actually have 5 fights or more. We've got like Jack Humphreys, Joe Hinchcliffe, all unbeaten. Kitahara still unbeaten. And Anistina, who's popping off. Probably on paper one of the most dangerous guys in welterweight. But if Walter May wins against Joe Hinchcliffe, he'll definitely be next in line for the title. Because he was initially supposed to fight for the belt against Ricardo. But he got booked up in October. And he wasn't ready, so we had to pass it to Jim Carpenter, so Jim basically stole his spot. So that would make more sense then, that Walter May now finally fights for the belt. And then of course we've got so much guys unbeaten here that could push up. Anisin is probably going to be next after him, if he keeps winning. I don't see anyone else jumping ahead of him, to be honest. And then lightweight, we got Marazina fighting next. He's up against Gustavo Batista, and if he beats him, he's probably going to get next shot, but if he doesn't, I'm not really sure, because it would then go to Yamamoto, but I don't really like doing back to back, unless it was a really, really close fight, or it's the guy who already had the belt that lost it, then maybe, but it was the first ever title fight, so yeah, probably not. Maybe not Berto, but he'll only be 4-0, probably Lars, but then Lars will need to be at least 2nd or 3rd in the rankings for it to really make sense and not take a hit to our critical commercial rating, sorry. Not our commercial, what am I talking about? Our credibility, Jesus. But there's a lot of guys in lightweight that looks really good. Sean Morrison will be huge when he comes back. We also got like Leon, who's huge name value, also very good. Zacharias Gomez, of course, the guy was super excited to bring in. Gage, I don't really think Gage won't be title contention at all. He's a bit like Bushman. He's a bit unpredictable. He's very, very good, but very, very weak in some aspects. But we'll see. Alvaro Negredo's been booked pretty smart up until then, but he'll lose to one of these top 5 guys. Pretty much any of these guys. Any of these guys ahead of him in the rankings, even behind him. Some of the guys behind him he'll lose to be honest. But that's pretty much it. So the goal for this year, hit high regional as soon as possible. We'll try and get as much guys as we can into teams, which will make it a bit more realistic in the game world. We're going to start trying to book to make more money rather than more pop, so I can open up an advertising company. No, not company, an advertising broadcaster, so that when I hit national, I can use GFC as my flagship show. You know, which holds all my title fights, it holds all the nuclear fights, and then I'm going to make a minor show, which is going to be broadcasted by our own advertising company. No, not company, why do I keep saying company? Our own advertising broadcaster. And it's going to give us way more pop. And on the minor shows, the main event and the co-main is going to be really good fights, you know, like number 1 contender fights, whatever. And then the rest of the card is basically just going to be guys who are all unknown, who have no name value, who have scuffed records, who are sitting, you know, ranked 20 and under, that sort of thing, which is usually the way I play it. And it works out very well in the long run. So yeah, that's probably the plan for this year. We won't hit national. I don't even know if we'll make enough money this year to actually make an advertising company, because I don't really care about basing it anywhere else in the world apart from the British Isles. I also don't know the difference between internet base and not. I'm assuming you just don't take as much like of a bonus, because the money's like cut way, like even more than half, because we're on advertising right now. So if we go, let's say enormous, just based purely in the UK, because we're pretty much only basing our shows there right now. It won't be a long time until we go all around the world. Yes. So to go enormous is 8 million. But even if we just cut it by one, it only goes down by 2. I mean, do we want to go enormous? I kind of wouldn't mind going smaller, but I don't know if it would be worth. And I don't know how much more pot we would take, like per show, and how much the fighters would get per card. But I guess we'll wait and see. We only have 1 million, just under 1 million. And we have a lot of guys on the roster too. 214. And if you look on the weight classes here, we've got 51 guys in the heavyweight, we've got 50 guys in middleweight. It's pretty beefy. There's like 4 shows a month, 3 shows a month. But that's pretty much it. We're going to jump into some of these. I'm not sure what shows we'll go over, like the way we have been before, or what ones we'll just kind of scan over. But we'll probably just go through it. This episode's mainly been took up of me giving you guys a bit of an overview, since you haven't really had a look into the save. So we'll just briefly scan over the cards, I think, until we get to high level regional, and then we'll start fresh next episode. Alright, well, here we go. We've ran over kind of the plan in our rankings, the sort of what we're going to try and do. So this episode, since it's mostly been just me giving a recap, we're going to quickly try and blast through the 2 or 3 cards we need to do to get high level regional, because we're about 2, maybe 3 shows away from hitting high level regional, and then we'll book up all of the fighters we can on exclusive deals so that Sigma can't use them, and hopefully that only ever happens that one time. This card, we've got some pretty big guys. We're also, I believe this one's on Eurosports, maybe? No, sorry, the ones coming up are. Of course, because we need to do popularity. I'm a little bit confused. Sorry, I'm a bit over the place because I've actually already recorded all of this. I think I'd done like 3 or 4 shows and got to high level regional. But my recording fucked. My game didn't save, basically, so I need to do it again. But between me and you, nothing happened, okay? So Jeff Carlton back in action. See how he does. This one will be interesting. See if he can bounce back after his loss against Stafford Al, who's 4-1. Very tough guy to beat. Jerizo, who's 4-1 also, up against Richard Smith. It should be a win for Jerizo. Zacharias Gomez, still 1-0. Very excited by him. He should get the win. Bill Cummings should get the win. Unbeaten Pereira should get the win. Gagan Bora should get his second win of his career, hopefully. We also got Muruseva, who of course he fought Knox Hurd twice and won the second fight by cut. Hopefully he can actually win now that he's branched away from Hurd. And then the first 2 fights, we have the rematch between Lassie Plessu and Takiguchi, I guess. They obviously drew the first fight, so that'll be interesting to see who wins the rematch. And Arab Brinkley makes his debut at heavyweight. Pretty decent guy, very good judo fighter. So we'll see if he can start with a win too. Well, we're only 1 show in. Our first ever show for 1991, and we already have contender for Fight of the Year. Brinkley on his debut beat Korn with an excellent rated fight, 2nd round finish. We also started the show with a fantastic rated finish from Takiguchi on the rematch against Plessu, and he also then decided to call it Jack Humphreys after his win. Konishi also lost to Muruseva, who won his first fight since his back-to-back with Knox Hurd. The dog Sato beat Wade Cavalier. Oh my god, can't speak English. Both those guys were 2-1, so it was a bit of a come-up fight for both of them. Bora also got the win against Aramura, which was no surprise. Pereira actually lost to Eddings, which I wasn't expecting to suffer his first loss of his career. Petey Barnum also lost to Bill, which means Petey will probably get cut. Zacharias Gomez, he won his fight, and he also called out Bora, who was also on the card, which will prove for a pretty interesting bout later down the line. And then Jerizo won, which was no real surprise, and Jeff Carlin in under a minute. His comeback fight after losing to Tony the Spider McCall for the belt. He beats Stafford Al. But just in case anyone, I guess, wants to see it, it wasn't as... I wouldn't really say it was worthy of an excellent fight, but I'll quickly just show you guys the play-by-play of the excellent rated card in a little sec here. We'll just quickly go through this. 1.8% popularity, which is really good. We'll give submission and fight the night's got to go to Brinkley, hasn't it? In fact, just so we can share the spoils, fight of the night can go to... No, I mean, I don't really want to not give anything to the Fantastic. And we don't do performance bonuses right now. Gosh. Fuck, sure. Just as... No. Excellent. Very, very rarely get excellent, so we can't really bypass it. KO. It has to go to Jeff. We should take a bit of money. No one on this card really takes away a whole lot apart from Zacharias. Yeah. 110k at the gate, 67. So we'll quickly move on. I think we've got 2 more to go for this episode. And then, yeah, we should hit high level regional. Here we go. We start the show, Travis Jones, who I believe in year 1 got done with drugs, right? Yeah, he lost to Jim Carpenter, but I'm sure he also... Yeah, he was gone for a year. So hopefully, I'm really hoping he loses this against Dragos and we can cut him. And then the fight with Jin and Jamara Kenshin. Both of these guys are 0-2, same situation. Pretty easy. 1 for Christopher Sharp on his second fight. He should win that. Lars Bowen should also get the win here. Dan Halvorsen is up against Jack Humphreys, who's unbeaten. So if Jack manages to win this, it'll be a huge win for him against a rather declining Dan. Leon Dodlin as well. Hopefully he wins. He's unbeaten right now. If he beats Karuba, then Karuba's probably getting cut. It's more than likely. Gary McSween, the Scotsman, also makes his debut against Kenji Toma, who's 1-1, trying to actually build some momentum on him. Kitahara, who's also unbeaten, he's 3-0 against Sapatov, who's 4-1. Very, very good. If Kitahara can somehow get over Sapatov, it puts him in a very good position. Then we got the rematch of the century. Just after getting our second ever excellent fight, we're going back to revisit the first ever excellent fight we got, where Nigel Malley, back in April of 1990, when he beat Mario at GFC 13. So this is the first ever fight where it's been a rematch on our whole promotion. So we'll see how they do. And then Elgar, of course, he's in prime position right now. After getting called out by the champ Edalberto when he won the belt. If Elgar wins this fight, he's going to fight Edalberto for the light heavyweight title next. If he gets through this, it would be such a huge blow if he loses now, being so close. Well, wow, what the fuck is going on this episode? Last show was arguably, it's going to go down as fight of the year, and now this episode, the main event's probably going to be upset of the year, because at a betting lines of -1,000 for Elgar to win, he's lost. He was so close to his title opportunity, so close. And he's lost. He's only gone and lost in the second round. Great rated fight. Great rated main event and co-main event. Mario evens up the rematch at 1-1 against Nigel Malley. He won by submission. Sapatov beat the unbeaten Kitahara. Gary McSween, the hot shot Scot on his debut, he beat Kenji Toma. Leon Dodlin, who's the huge name value from Canada, he lost against Karuba, who was one fight off getting cut. Lars Bowen, he keeps his unbeaten streak going by beating Wanya. Jack Humphreys also manages to get a very good win over Dan Halvorsen. He also called out Joe Hinchcliffe in the meantime, who's also unbeaten. Christopher Sharp goes 2-0. Jin wins, which means Ketchin gets cut from the roster, and luckily Dragos won to start the show, which means Travis Jones gets cut. And FYI, Christopher Sharp's fight also got a fantastic rating, which that's a fantastic this show and last show. We actually had some call-outs too. I believe Mario de Souza called out Roberto. No, sorry, he called out Yamashita. And I believe it was Sapatov. Fuck, who was it? We had a few call-outs too and I forgot. Was it Gary? Oh my god, I'm like losing it. Someone called out Roberto Aldes. Maybe it was Thierry. Yeah, he called out Roberto Aldes, who's unbeaten. I believe Karuba, when he won, he also called out, was it Lars? Yeah, he called out Lars Bowen, who's on this card. And I believe someone also called out Kitahara. It might have been you. No. Someone else. Maybe it was you? I don't even know. I don't remember. But someone also called out Kitahara. Basically what I'm saying is we're still getting a lot of call-outs, which is good. 1.6% popularity. I mean, yeah, fight of the night has got to go to Christopher Sharp. And we'll give submission to Mario for the great co-main. And I want to give it to, even though it wasn't, there's like actual, there was a knockout punch, like a full-on knockout, I'm giving it to Thierry for the huge underdog status. I feel so bad for Elgar too. He's really not a bad fighter at all. It would have been a really good fight. So now the next light heavyweight contenders it's been thrown in the water. Who knows who could be next at this point? I cannot believe he lost. That's crazy. But that's the beauty of the game. You never really truly know what's going to happen. Okay, 72k. Kenji lost, so he only takes 9k, and so did Leon, so he only takes 9k, both of them missing out on their 100% win bonus, so they would have took away 20k. Tough times, but we take away 72, and it should be the next show. We should hit high level regional. Alright, here we go. Hopefully should be the last show, and then we'll be high level regional, which will be a pretty good start to the year. We have unbeaten Mac Fuller, who's been pretty underwhelming, which even though he has a very impressive 5-0 record, he's only sitting 10th on the rankings because he cannot finish his opponents. and it's proving to be costly for him. And he's up against Bushman, the highest name valued American in the game. Gets paid a lot of money, Bushman. Very, very good stand-up striker, one of the best. Then we got Yamashita, the unbeaten Yamashita. He has a huge test against Bingwen Park, who's looking to bounce back after his middleweight title bout. Dwayne Weatherly's back in action against Go Yamamoto, also in the same boat as Bingwen Park, looking to bounce straight back with a win. Walter May is up against unbeaten Joe Hinchcliffe, both guys unbeaten, and if Walter wins this fight, he'll slot right in to fight for the welterweight title against Jim Carpenter ASAP if he wins. But hopefully he doesn't go the same route and the same fate that Elgar had and he loses, because Joe is not an easy guy to beat. Then Zacco, who's of course he won his fight back from his suspension, so fingers crossed he not only secures another win to keep the momentum going, but he also stays drug free. Then Geoff KL 2-2 up against Matthew Bell, sponsored by Monster, looking to build up some momentum. Battle of the Wrestlers as well. Escovedo is up against Robin. Yamazaki, both guys 1-1 against 2-2. Trevor Murray makes his debut light heavyweight. Pretty decent wrestler, nothing crazy. He's up against Inna, he should get the job done. And then the first two fights is basically just scuffed guys that have scuffed records, won't really amass too much. There's no real need to put any spotlight on them. Well, 1.5k in attendance. Mac Fuller, having fought pretty much nobodies up until now, he proves that maybe he can hang with the big dogs, being one of the best strikers in his division, if not the best, honestly. Great rated bout, second round finish. He beats unbeaten Terence Bushman to go 6-0. Then, co-main event, Bingwen Park loses on his comeback fight to not only suffer the second loss of his career, but it's back-to-back losses. Yamashita has just propelled himself right up the rankings with this one. So yeah, pretty big win for him. Which is, I wasn't expecting him to win, to be honest, but he got the job done. Then Go Yamamoto, he won too. That's pretty much a given. He bounces back, unlike Bingwen Park against Dwayne. Joe Hinchcliffe suffers his first loss of his career. Walter May managed to get it done. He got the job done, which Elgar couldn't. So Walter May will be fighting Jim Carpenter, and he also called out Jim after this, which almost the stars have aligned perfectly for them to fight now. Zacco, again, since he's been back, he's won. So he's technically still unbeaten. Geoff KL surprisingly beat Matthew Bell, sponsored by Monster, which I was surprised at. I would have preferred Matthew to win, but it is what it is. Robin also got the upper hand against Desi Escovedo. Two very, very good wrestlers, but on paper, Desi's much better, so I'm surprised that Robin managed to get the win. And a loss, which means he gets cut. Trevor Murray won his debut. Tiso also lost, which means he gets cut. And Sho would have got cut, but in a fantastic rated bout, he beat Rudolf Fitzner. So his job is safe. We make 1.6, which I think should be enough. We're going to actually keep the recording rolling until I get out of this, and we'll see. Oh my god, no, the fantastic rated bout has got to win at least fight of the night. KO can go, even though it was TKO strikes, we're going to give it to Mac rather than my boyfriend Go Yamamoto. Since it was a great main event, which helps our critical rating massively. And submission has to go to Zacco, okay. We make just under 100k. Bushman, he lost, so he doesn't get his bonus. We should... Oh my god, it's going to be... Yep. Right? Yes, there we go. Rise in size, high level regional, which is good. But we didn't book anything in January, and we also don't really have much booked coming up, so we probably won't squeeze in as many shows as we did last year, which will be hard to beat, honestly. But the plan is to keep GFC as our flagship show, and I don't know if I'll introduce our minor show at high level regional or low level national. I'm not really sure, but I'm going to leave. I'll see you guys next time where we have our first title defense, and I'm going to go and quickly sign a bunch of our guys on exclusive deals off camera. So until then, I'll see you guys for the title fight.